And so now it is time to hand over to Claus and Ben Taylor, who will be telling us about FOLIO and VuFind at Trinity College, Cambridge.
Hi, yes. So I've been working with Claus for a year or so now, since we moved system to FOLIO and to VuFind. And to start with, if you go to the next slide, I'll just say again a little bit about who we are. We are the largest college in the University of Cambridge. There are about 30 of them, and the university is made up of the colleges, the faculty and departmental libraries, and the university library. You can see from the slide that we've been going since the middle of the 16th century, and we're a well-known academic institution. Next slide. And this is just to give you a picture of the kind of things that we have. We've got a very strong special collection, books of manuscripts. We've got the library of Sir Isaac Newton, who was both a student and a fellow there, as well as other very well-known collections. But we've also got the modern collections that serve our students. Next slide. Yes, so in 2019 we started to look for a new library management system. We've used Millennium for about 25 years, and so even though it worked fairly well still, it looked very dated. Since when we first got a library management system in the middle of the 1990s, we've been separate from the main university, partly because we've got the resources to finance that, and we've definitely grown used to that level of control. And so we could have gone in with Alma, which the majority of the university uses, but for various reasons we chose not to. We were very interested in the fact that FOLIO offers a new model. So the older single vendor model tends to become less and less responsive to changing needs, and it's not at all transparent. So for those who don't know, FOLIO is actually called a library services platform. It's open source, driven by a community of libraries, developers, and vendors. And the way it's designed, is future proof, in as much as you can be. It's very much not reliance on Mark, and it's as the blurb there says, it supports third party applications. So we were very excited to work with EBSCO. Next slide. So yeah, we decided to go with EBSCO to host and support us. We could have chosen others, but we went for EBSCO, and it was a very intense period, about 9 months from the end of 2020 to when we went live in the summer of 21. This was entirely done over like Zoom because of the pandemic, and so we got to know our two very able Swedish implementation consultants very well. The interesting things about the process are, explaining what we do and what we're used to, and then trying to marry that up to a new system. So we were constantly having to make decisions on what we could sort of mold with what FOLIO offered, and what we would need to basically start from scratch. In terms of the staff, they were very open to it all. The system is definitely has a much more modern feel, and most people say it's intuitive. There are of course being challenges, because it's such a new system. that even though the majority of the functionality, that the core functionality, it is there. There have been things where because there's not yet the development done. There have been some issues, but the best thing about it all, is the incredible community support. It's very easy to ask things. At the bottom of the slide are some very positive comments about us, and as I've spent a lot of my time making sure that the data is consistent, it's good to see that was recognized. Next slide. So why did we go for VuFind? Well, it made sense to go for an open source system, or like FOLIO. We did actually look at Blacklight first, and it seemed quite similar in terms of the functionality, but in the instances that we looked at, it just looked more polished than say the VuFind live demo. But part way through the process, we for various reasons switched to VuFind, and that's been a real success because it's really customizable, and we've got all sorts of our own needs, the different types of collections, the fact that we've not got standard call numbers, the fact that a lot of the special collections are in the form of bound. It's for those who don't know what they are. There will be a definition later on. We were particularly keen on browse type searches, because we felt that particularly was useful for special collections. We've got to cater to many different users, and the flexibility of VuFind has made that really successful. We wanted some link to the university's discovery layer. We had spoken to them about somehow having our records loaded into their library management system. That didn't come about, but we've got I should say that we do share our records with their discovery layer, and we got them to put a link back into VuFind, and we've got from VuFind the ability to search directly into our discover. Now for some more specific use cases are hand over.
Right. Thank you so much, Ben, for doing this. It's much appreciated. So my name is Claus. I'm the library service engineer for the UK, and I got to this project when it was pretty much implemented, when one of my colleagues left, and I just took over, and I thought it was just a few things to finish up. But there's a few things I want to share with you today that we've done. None of them are really finished, but they have made an impact. All of the items that I'm going to show to you, I fully recognize they need improvements. And I welcome your suggestions and questions. And thank you in advance for your patience. The one thing I really must say, working with somebody like Ben has been a tremendous pleasure because he has all the knowledge it takes to make sense of things that I find very, very complicated. So I start off with mapping rules, and I'm sure you're all familiar with them. They sit in your Mark Locals properties, and it's an amazing tool. It's very, very powerful, but I must admit, my head is usually spinning when I even think about it, and without Ben, there would be no way I could even begin to make sense of it all and make it useful. The thing I learned is that SoloMark is incredibly powerful. There's good documentation there, but sometimes, again, for somebody not really deep into it, I find the documentation to be there and I still can't make fully sense of it. And so sometimes I resorted to writing a small Java function, which is not nearly as bad as it sounds, and I might have just overlooked the way of doing it in SoloMark. So again, something I recognize that I need to review, but those Java functions work really quick and easy and is a great addition to what we're doing. So to the first real feature that we added, Ben and his colleagues were very interested in showing new items to their patrons. And when you look at the VuFind from Trinity College, you will find that the new item screen looks very familiar. So you've got the typical range that you can configure in the appropriate INI file. So yesterday, past 5 days, and past 30 days. And then we basically went ahead and configured the fund codes in the folio.ini so that the subject box gets filled in. And I could have done an API call to obtain all of these, but I figured they're not changing very often, and it saves us an API call to Okapi. So it was a good enough idea to put them into the folio ini. And then you get your new items, and that sounds really easy. And I'm already cheating a little bit because I sorted this by shelf mark. So let me tell you why this is an interesting problem to fix and why we are not really done with it. So you can get new items from the Solar Index, but we are getting the MARC records as soon as they're being created, which means they will have a timestamp from when they're basically ordered. And so that didn't work too well and wasn't desirable. The folio driver in the VuFind doesn't actually have an implementation for new items. So what to do? The first thing is I went for a hunt for an endpoint in Okapi that would just show me the new items. And that proved to be cumbersome and impossible. So what we're doing at this point, and I totally agree it's imperfect, is we basically query order lines. And we're looking for the receipt date to fall within the range that the user has selected. And the receipt status needs to be fully received. And then obviously we apply the fund code. It does still show us some in-process items. So it means the book is actually in the library, but it's not on the shelf yet. So it's a compromise we had to make to get to that display of new items. It's definitely better than not having it, but if you have a great idea of how to make this really, really good, please let me know. The other thing I had to learn an awful lot about is bound width. And if you speak German, it's Sammelband or Sammelbände. And if that still makes very little sense to you, there is a description which Ben very, very kindly has put together for us. And that has also a whole bunch of very interesting consequences within VuFind when you're looking at it. So I'll give you a second to read this through. And then let's take a look at the problem to be solved. So within Folio, a bound width is currently represented as separate instances for each element. And that makes sense because they're all individual publications. Each instance has a holding and therefore a call number. but only the first instance actually has an item. And the status is associated with that first item that you're getting. So that sounds all perfectly okay, but it leads to a problem. When the first instance is checked out, the other instances have no idea that the whole bound width is checked out. So they would still show as available. So in order to rectify this, we need to take a look at what actually comes back when we make this availability call. And what you'll find is they have a very specific holdings type ID. And the current state is that there is a node inside the response. And as you can see, within that node, there is a JSON structure, and that tells us all the instances for that bound width. And basically, we go in there, we pick out the first instance ID, and just do another call to the availability APIs. Now, to make that a bit clearer, this is just basically for later when somebody sees the PowerPoint, all that I have described, it's the problem that we're solving. There's a future state that's really going to be quite good because FOLIO has new functionality that allows you to record the bound width parts in a much better way. And so we will be able to get to that instance ID that we are really looking for much more easily, rather than having to go through a node and do a regular expression to find that JSON aspect. The good thing is, if you are looking now at the VuFind of Trinity College, you will be finding that you can get the correct availability status as is appropriate for the item. So it takes additional calls to the API, which is a bit of a shame, and it can slow things down, especially if you have many bound width in a result list, but it's a very reasonable approach. Now, I haven't committed this to the VuFind repository, mainly because I'm waiting to implement the better way of doing it, which will serve the VuFind community and the FOLIO community better. There was another type of request that we were looking at, and that is to have the most granular status message in the result list. So I'm sure you're very familiar with that, but when you take a look at the VuFind demos, you will notice that things are either checked out or available. But what you don't see by default is things like in process or missing. There is an easy solution to that. You go to config.ini and there's a show_full status. You set that to true and it generates a table of all the items that are associated with one of those instances. But that wasn't very desirable. So we didn't want that table to show. So I used the full status and in perfect Claus fashion and implemented a bit of a nasty hack, which is I changed the status full PHTML to basically mimic the display of the normal VuFind responses. And so it looks very much the same, but you'll notice it gives you an in process. There's some filtering happening, and we gave ourselves an order of preferred status types. So we're making sure that if there's 15 items and one of them is available and 14 are checked out, we make sure to show you the status of available. So in process truly only shows if that is the very best status we could find. The more important aspect, and that's something that Ben mentioned, is special and modern collections. That has been an interesting challenge, but kudos to the VuFind community. Just like yesterday, I really have to say there's a lot of awesomeness already here. And that is that a lot of the functionality we needed to implement is already here. So I'm so sorry. Trinity College has special collections, so these books from Newton, and modern collections, the books that your students want to use every day. And we wanted to allow students to both filter results better, but also wanted to give them that opportunity to browse the collection. So we needed to apply two different approaches, and that's partially down to the fact that there's different call number schemes in place. So I'm using a Java function to get myself whether something is a special collection and then extract the part of the call number that tells me what its subject is. And then there's a properties map that I can map against. And what this does is it basically fills in a special collections facet. And very easily, you can put that on your front page. So if you go to browse by collections and you click on special collections, basically the facets show up and you can filter them as you usually would in VuFind. So very easy and quick and works well. The special collections are done. So the modern collections, they're equally fun. A similar approach, a Java function to extract from 952 subfield H if they're modern. And then we're extracting a certain section of the call number and match it against 3 property files that then create a hierarchical facet. And as you can imagine, that shows up as a hierarchical facet. But in the situation that Trinity was looking at, we also wanted to give a browsable option. So we built very, very quickly a browsable option. So you see in here a list of all those top levels. And as you hover over any of these with your mouse, you get a little plus. And so you can basically drill down until you're at the bottom level and can click into any of these to see the results. And that's what you see. In here, we're also using the hierarchical facets that are coming. The one thing that I've noticed, and I'm not sure how to improve, but I found it really hard to indicate to a user that you need to click on that little disclosure triangle to pull this down. But I have no suggestion of how to make that better, so it might be the very best it can be. The call number browse, and I know I'm running super low on time, so I'll try to speed up. Call number browse is the one thing that really is still occupying my mind. Trinity uses many different call number schemas. You see the first one, crew 1.10, and then the square brackets indicate a bound width. There's the second one, LLOA2 K100, NQ.1737. As you can imagine, browsing this and sorting is a bit of a nightmare. The call number browse also didn't do a good job at sorting. It doesn't use a natural sort order, so you would get crew 1.1 and then crew 1.10 and so on. And it got even more interesting when you had the square brackets for bound width. So there is a teeny tiny Java function that normalizes these for sorting. So basically we're padding them each section with additional zeros so we can sort them in a more sensible way. Not a great opportunity, but it does kind of do the job. It needs to be refactored, something I'm very aware of. And if one of you is a real pro in the browse indexes, I would love to have a good conversation with you about this one. Would like to end, and I hope that's okay for Ben. I'll just leave this up here. This is a quote from Dr. Bell, the librarian of Trinity College. And I think it really is a kudos to the VuFind community and all your contributions have enabled. So even though we've done lots of customization and configuration, a lot of this was only possible because VuFind has all the tools already built in to add to that functionality. And with that, I would like to say thank you so much to all of you. And if you have questions, I know I've only left like a minute. I do apologize for that, but I'm happy to take a look at them together with Ben. All right.
Thank you very, very much, both of you. I am seeing something in the Q&A, but it's not a question. It is a suggestion, which is, again, from Maccabee. FYI, if it's useful, Lehigh wrote a script to migrate a spreadsheet of bound width relationships into Folio's new native format. I'm sure EBSCO is a nice tool to do so as well. So that sounds like a nice, useful thing. If you weren't aware of it, Maccabee, maybe you can share a link to that in the Q&A, and I can post that to the working document or the Slack for other people to reference later.
That sounds wonderful. I've seen it at WolfCon last week, and I was very impressed by it. But I'm super lucky that Lisa already knows how to get all the bound width from that JSON in the notes field into the proper approach for a folio. So I'm very lucky I can rely on Lisa to take care of this for us. And I hope that Ben can agree that that will work just fine for us.
Yes.
Right. So thank you so much, everyone. And
thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask just one more really quick question? So if we had something like a show custom status and status custom.phtml template, it wouldn't be a hack anymore, right?
Exactly. If I had just taken the extra step to do the model properly, because I will be honest, I might have broken the ultimate rule of keeping business logic and display logic apart. There might be some business logic in the template now. But yeah, if I very nicely took them apart properly, it would no longer be a nasty hack. But right now I'm breaking the rule between view model and actually view.
And we have never done that.
Nobody has ever done that, right?
Yeah, before. Thank you.
All right, well, we have reached our break time, though certainly if others have questions, I have no objection to taking a couple more minutes, but otherwise I will put up our break slide, and then we will be able to take a few moments rest and resume at 1/4 after the hour.